Yeah, hello. Yeah, so
Yeah, hi.
we will talk about like three different axes: individual axis, dual axis, and blended axis. So yesterday we were like working on visualizations using different dimensions and a single measure, like one dimension, one measure, two dimension, one measure, three dimension, one measure, etc. So today we will be working with multiple measures. So we'll be using two dimension, two measures, three dimension, two measures. So working with multiple measures, like we have three different axes. Okay, so today we will see about working with multiple measures. So working with multiple measures has three axes. It has in three axes. So they are individual axis. The second one is dual axis, and the last one is blended axis. So we'll discuss about these three. So firstly, we'll go one by one. So first we'll discuss about individual axis. So what do you mean by individual axis? So if we display, so if we display each measure, so if each measure is displayed on a separate axis, so on a separate axis, so if each measure is displayed on a separate axis, that is called as individual axis. Okay, so this is the basic thing about individual axis. So this is the definition. So we will see visualization also continued by it. Okay, so like if we display each measure on a separate axis, that is called as individual axis. So we'll go with one example. So display display region wise, display region wise sales and profits. So what is here with they're asking, like they're asking display region wise sales and profits. That means they're asking one dimension and two measures. So if we deal with multiple measures, that is like individual axis, dual axis, or blended axis. So what is individual axis? If we display each measure on a separate axis, that is called as individual axis. So here we have two measures and one dimension. So if we display them on a separate axis, that is called as individual axis. So now we will see how to do this. Okay, so I'm opening Tableau. So connecting to Tableau repository, like I showed yesterday only, the same thing. And I'm selling XLSX file, and I'm just opening it. So it is executing, and it finally opened. So I'm just dragging one orders here. Then automatically, yeah, here we have now dimensions and measures. So in this visualization, what we are going to do, display region wise sales and profit. So region is the dimension. We have dragged region into rows as it is dimension. So what they asked, region wise sales and profits. So sales and profits are measures. So we are dragging both of them. So if we drag only sales, there is only one axis, one plane, right? So each, if we display each measure on a separate axis, then it is individual axis. So when we drag the second measure, see now, the visualization is turned into two separate axes. So on one axis it's showing like sales, and in other axis is showing profits per region. So this is the one of the example of like individual axis. So the major major definition of individual axis is like if we show each measure on a different axis. So that is what we have done. We have shown sales on one axis and profit on one axis. So this is one of the example of like individual axis. So I will show you one more example. So this is one example. So other one we can take like display year wise, quarter wise, number of orders, sales and profits. So here what they're asking is they're asking year wise and quarter wise number of orders, sales and profits. So what they're asking year wise, quarter wise. So that is dimension. So if you get year, quarter or anything, we should drag order date, right? We have dragged order date. So we got year. But in the question they asked year wise, quarter wise. So break down this year into quarter. So we have get the required thing in dimensions. Then what else they asked? Year wise, quarter wise, number of orders, sales and profits. So drag orders, drag sales, drag profits. So if we drag multiple measures, what is happening actually? Each measure is being displayed on a separate axis. So this is also one of the example of individual axis. So this is what do you mean by individual axis, that is done. So next we'll go about dual axis. So what is meant by dual axis is like when we want to compare two measures on a separate axis but on the same plane. So we will be doing them on a separate axis but on a same plane. Okay. So when I show the visualization, you will understand, but like definition I'm writing. So when we want to compare two measures on a separate axis but on a same plane. So previously what we have done, like we have showed them in each measure on different axis but on different planes. So same plane means what? Count of orders and sales should be top of another. So one should be here and one should be here. Okay. So that thing we'll see in one example. So coming to an example. Yeah. Display. What we can say? Yeah. Display region wise and segment wise number of orders and sales. So they're asking region wise, segment wise, number of orders and sales. So what we should do? We should go to other sheet. Then we are asking region wise, segment wise, right? So this is region. So region wise. Other thing they're asking segment wise. So this is segment. So just drag it. Segment wise, number of orders and sales. So orders is nothing but this one, orders count, and then sales. Sales is nothing but this one. Okay. But now if you do like this, we can see them each measure on a different, like we can see each measure on a different planes and different axes, right? But the definition of dual axis is like if you want to compare two measures on separate axis but on same plane. So to do dual axis, we don't get the visualization directly. Okay. So what we should do is we should click here, right click, dual axis. So if we select right click and dual axis only, you will be getting dual axis view. So see here, we are viewing two different measures. Okay, sales and count of count of orders. So these are on separate axis but on same plane, right? So they are on the same plane and different axis. But if you see here in count of orders, it's like 0, 200, 400, 600. But here it's 0, 50K, 100K. So it's not good type of visualization, right? So on the on the both the planes, like on both the both the axis, it should be similar, right? So if it is 0, 100, 200, it should be also 0, 100, 200. Then only visualization will be good. So how to do that? That is nothing but synchronizing. So if you click right click again, and if you give synchronize axis, then this will be changed. So both will be in 0, 50K, 100K, 150K, 200K, etc. So to view like in a dual axis view, we should first right click and then select dual axis. And after selecting dual axis, we should synchronize the axis so as to give this level of indexes same on both the axis. Okay, so on both the planes. So this is the example of dual axis. So we'll see one more. So display display city wise sales and discounts, sales and discounts. So if they give the question like display city wise sales and discounts, then what you will do actually, city wise sales and discount means you will drag city here, sales and discounts, so sales here, then you will drag discounts also.
Discounts.
Okay, so if they mention like this, the question is like half of, like it they are asking to show you individual axis. But if they ask you display city wise sales and discounts on dual axis, so if they ask you on dual axis, then you should go and change this. So right click, change to dual axis, and in both planes it's 0, 20, 40, but here 0k, 20k, 40k, so we have to synchronize. So just go right click, synchronize axis. So that's it, simple. So this is how we should do like for dual axis. Okay,
Dual axis.
so two types of axis are completed. Then we will see about blended axis. So what do you mean by blended axis is like if we combine multiple axis, if you combine multiple axis into single axis. So if you combine multiple axis into single axis, it is blended axis. Okay, so one of the main important point here is like we will drag one measure into columns, and the second measure will be there, right? Second measure will be dragged into existing axis. So will be dragged into existing axis. That is the main important point of blended axis. Existing axis is nothing but into the plane. That thing I will show you. So we'll have an example. Region wise sales and profits in blended axis. Okay, so what they're asking, region wise sales and profits. So go to other sheet. So they're asking region wise. So region wise, what they're asking, sales and profit, sales. So if you drag this profits to here, what will happen? It will again eventually become individual axis. So we want blended axis. So what we should do is we should drag the second measure directly into existing axis. So that is nothing but take profit, directly drag into here. See, now if you drag the like profits into axis directly, then you will see visualization on a same plane but different axis. Okay, so this is the blended axis. So the difference between individual, dual and blended axis, you should remember. Individual axis means like it should be, each measure should be displayed on different plane. Okay, so each measure should be displayed on separate axis, then it is individual axis. So if you come to dual axis, it is like compare two measures on separate axis but on same plane. So for that you should right click and select like dual axis from individual axis, and then you should synchronize to match the points on both planes. Then the next thing is blended axis. Blended axis important point is like if you combine multiple axis into single axis, that is nothing but blended axis. So like for this, the second measure we should be dragged into the existing axis. Okay, so that is like the three different types of axis: individual axis, dual axis, and blended.
Yeah, I found out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sales is 50k and the profits is 10k is difference, right? It's not perfect.